Two friends, two different paths. Mike and Jake grew up in the same neighborhood. They attended the same school, worked similar jobs after graduation, and earned almost the same income. In their early 20s, both wanted financial security, but they approached money very differently. Mike believed saving was the answer to everything. Every paycheck, he put money into his savings account and rarely spent on unnecessary things. Jake also saved money, but he spent time learning about investing. He read books, watched videos, and studied how successful people built wealth over time. At first, their lives looked identical. Both had modest apartments, used cars, and regular jobs. 5 years later, Mike proudly showed everyone his growing savings account. Jake's bank account looked smaller because much of his money was invested. Mike thought he was making the smarter decision. After all, saving money felt safe. There was no risk, no market fluctuations, and no uncertainty. Jake understood something Mike didn't yet realize. Saving protects money, but investing helps money grow. The difference wouldn't become obvious for many years, but the choices they made early would shape their entire financial future. The power and limits of saving. Saving money is one of the most important financial habits anyone can develop. Without savings, even a small emergency can become a major crisis. Imagine your car breaks down, your water heater fails, or you unexpectedly lose your job. Without savings, many people are forced to rely on credit cards or loans. Mike understood this very well. Over the years, he built a solid emergency fund and felt secure knowing he had cash available whenever he needed it. However, there was a problem he didn't notice. Inflation was quietly reducing the purchasing power of his money. While his savings account earned a small amount of interest, the cost of housing, groceries, healthcare, and transportation continued rising. Even though Mike's account balance grew, the real value of his money wasn't growing nearly as fast. This is a challenge many people face. Saving is excellent for short-term goals, emergencies, vacations, or major purchases planned within a few years. But when it comes to building long-term wealth, saving alone often isn't enough. Mike was protecting his money, but he wasn't giving it much opportunity to grow. He had built a strong financial foundation, but he stopped there. A strong foundation is important, but a foundation alone doesn't build the entire house. Why investing changes everything? Jake took a different approach. He first built an emergency fund just like Mike, but once he had several months of expenses saved, he began investing regularly. He didn't chase hot stocks or try to get rich overnight. Instead, he invested consistently in broad market index funds. Some years were exciting, while others were stressful. During market downturns, Jake watched his investments temporarily lose value. Friends questioned his decisions and warned him about market crashes. Yet Jake stayed focused on the long term. He understood that investing wasn't about making quick money. It was about owning pieces of businesses that grow over time. Every month he continued investing, regardless of headlines or market noise. Slowly, something incredible began happening. His investments started generating returns. Those returns generated additional returns. Then those returns generated even more returns. This process, known as compound growth, became one of the most powerful forces in his financial life. While Mike's money sat mostly unchanged in a savings account, Jake's investments were working around the clock. The growth wasn't dramatic in the beginning, but year after year the gap between saving and investing became larger. Jake wasn't smarter than Mike. He simply allowed time and compound growth to work in his favor. What happens after 20 years? 20 years later, Mike and Jake met for lunch. Mike had accumulated a respectable amount of savings. He felt proud of his discipline and the sacrifices he had made. Jake admired Mike's consistency because many people never save at all. But when they compared their financial situations, the difference was impossible to ignore. Mike had financial security. Jake had financial security plus substantial wealth. Mike's money had remained mostly static, growing slowly through interest. Jake's investments had benefited from decades of compound growth. His portfolio had grown far beyond the amount he personally contributed. The biggest surprise was that Jake didn't invest huge amounts. He simply invested consistently over a long period. Many people think investing requires large sums of money. In reality, time is often more important than the amount invested. Someone who invests modest amounts for decades can outperform someone who waits for the perfect moment or tries to save everything without investing. Mike finally realized that saving and investing aren't competitors. They are teammates. Saving provides safety. Investing provides growth. Financial success requires both. The smart strategy: Use both. The lesson from Mike and Jake's story is simple. Saving and investing serve different purposes. Saving protects your financial life. Investing expands your financial future. A wise financial plan begins with an emergency fund that covers several months of expenses. This provides stability during unexpected events. Once that safety net exists, additional money can be invested for long-term goals such as retirement, financial independence, or building generational wealth. Many people delay investing because they fear risk. Others ignore saving because they focus entirely on growth. Both approaches create problems. The smartest path combines the strengths of each strategy. Save enough to handle emergencies and short-term needs. Invest consistently for goals that are years or decades away. You don't need perfect timing, advanced financial knowledge, or a high income to get started. What matters most is developing good habits and remaining consistent over time. The wealthiest people often aren't the ones who make the most money. They are the ones who understand how to balance saving and investing effectively. If you start today, even with small amounts, your future self will thank you. The choice isn't saving versus investing. The real answer is learning how to use both wisely.